It was August 23, 1944. The skies over Austria were stained with the smoke and fire of war. Amidst the formation of Allied bombers heading towards Markersdorf airfield, one aircraft, tail number 42, 78471, suddenly lurched violently. It was a consolidated B-24G Liberator, affectionately nicknamed Fertile Myrtle by her crew. German Luftwaffe fighters descended upon them like a pack of hungry wolves. Rounds tore through the fuselage. Fertile Myrtle was critically damaged, helplessly falling away from the protective embrace of her squadron. There, high above the earth, the first price was paid. The pilot, Lieutenant Cornelius Donahue, and the top turret gunner, Sergeant Raymond Ranville, met their end. But the tragedy did not end there. For those fortunate enough to bail out of the dying metal bird, the ground offered no sanctuary. The co-pilot, Lieutenant George Hogan, and the bombardier, Lieutenant Clarence Rutger, survived the fall. But instead of becoming prisoners of war under the Geneva Convention, they fell into the hands of the Gestapo. Accused vaguely of resisting after capture, these two airmen, no longer capable of fighting, were executed in cold blood. It was an event that, whenever recalled, evokes sorrow for the young lives claimed by the war. The heartbreaking story of Fertile Myrtle is just one fragment among countless others, reflecting the fate of the B-24 Liberators and their courageous crews. This was America's most produced heavy bomber of World War II, a diligent workhorse across every theater, from the brutal skies over Europe to the vast expanse of the Pacific. A powerful war machine, yet one shrouded in controversy, a legend often overshadowed by its sibling, the B-17 Flying Fortress, yet it shouldered the weight of innumerable missions. In this video, we will delve into the story of the consolidated B-24 Liberator, exploring its history, its engineering, its role in the war, and, most importantly, the human stories, the lives lived, the battles fought, and the sacrifices made alongside this giant of the skies. The birth of the B-24 Liberator bomber. The skies above the world hung heavy with dark clouds. War was a storm gathering, and America felt the pressing need to bolster its military might. The United States. Army Air Corps initially looked to increase production of its favored B-17 Flying Fortress, believing high-altitude precision bombing held the key to victory against the rising powers of Germany and Japan. Consolidated Aircraft was asked to build more B-17s under license. But founder Reuben Fleet and design engineer Isaac Ladden saw an opportunity not just to copy, but to create something better. Their vision, an aircraft that could fly faster, higher, farther, and deliver a mightier blow. Drawing upon their expertise in flying boats, they proposed a bomber with a distinct shape. The heart of their revolutionary design lay in the Davis wing, remarkably thin and efficient. It promised extraordinary performance by slicing through the air with minimal drag while generating powerful lift. This, combined with a deep fuselage, high-mounted wing, distinctive twin tails, robust tricycle landing gear, and innovative roll-top bomb bay doors, formed the basis of a potential aerial titan. Inside, two cavernous bomb bays stood ready to carry immense loads. In a breathtaking race against the clock, the consolidated team transformed vision into metal. The prototype, XB-24, took its first flight in December 1939, destined to play a pivotal role across the globe and become America's most produced military aircraft ever. The B-24 Liberator was born. A trial by fire in the Desert Forge, the B-24 Liberator over North Africa. As the North African campaign ignited, Allied forces confronted not only the Axis armies, but also the harsh Sahara Desert. They needed an aircraft that could deliver thunder across vast distances and endure the punishing environment. The B-24 Liberator answered the call. Its inherent long range proved crucial, allowing strikes deep into enemy territory without relying on vulnerable forward airfields, nearly impossible to maintain on the shifting sands. Its high-wing design was a godsend, keeping engines clear of debris on primitive airstrips and offering ground crews precious shade in the blistering heat. And its versatile bomb bay could carry bombs one day and vital cargo the next, proving invaluable as supply lines stretched across captured territory. Late in 1942, the liberators of the 98th and 376th Bombardment Groups arrived in Libya, beginning their relentless mission to sever Axis lifelines across the Mediterranean. By December, they were pummeling positions supporting Rommel's Africa Corps, playing a key role in pushing the enemy back. Fuel depots erupted. Vehicle columns scattered. The desert was becoming a graveyard for Axis ambitions. As the fight moved into Tunisia in early 1943, the intensity grew. Liberators worked with other aircraft to neutralize Luftwaffe airfields, battling not only enemy defenses but also the desert's fickle weather, shifting instantly from clear skies to blinding sandstorms. The strategic ports of Tunis and Bizerte felt the Liberators' might, precision strikes cutting off vital supplies in the campaign's final stages. Down on the ground, mechanics performed miracles in primitive conditions, devising ingenious ways to keep the complex machines flying despite the heat and invasive sand. Their resourcefulness was crucial to the B-24's success in the desert. In May 1943, victory was secured in North Africa. The battle-hardened B-24s moved on to Sicily and Italy, forever shaped by their trial by fire in the desert forge. Yet, amidst the triumphs, a tragic story lingers like a haunting, somber counterpoint, the tale of the B-24D Lady Be Good. Their first and final mission was to Naples, Italy, on April 4, 1943, returning to their base in Libya, lost amidst the darkness, strong winds, and sandstorms. Fate played a cruel trick. They flew right over their base without realizing it, plunging deep into the vast, unforgiving heart of the Sahara. When the last engine sputtered silent from fuel starvation, 9 desperate men parachuted into the immense sea of sand. 8 survived the landing, armed with only half a canteen of water, facing one of the harshest environments on Earth. They began a hopeless trek north, clinging to the slim hope of reaching the coast. Instead, they walked deeper into the realm of death. Standard survival estimates suggested a man might walk 25 miles, perhaps survive 2 days without water. Yet, they fought until their last breath. They walked 78 miles together before 5 succumbed. 3 pressed on, including Sergeant Guy Shelley, covering an almost unbelievable distance, nearly 116 miles in total. They survived for 8 days, a harrowing testament to the human will to endure. The bitter irony? When searchers later found the wreck of Lady Be Good, it was remarkably intact. Inside were survival kit, food, water, and a functioning radio. Had the crew found their way back to the downed aircraft, their fate might have been tragically different. The Desert War wasn't just a battle against a visible enemy. The searing heat, the parching thirst, and the chilling, empty vastness wore down spirits as much as bodies. But through it all, the B-24s roared across the sky, completing mission after mission. They stood as a testament to the resilience of metal and engineering, but even more so, they embodied the tenacity, courage, and unbreakable spirit of the airmen who flew them through the desert skies. Liberators over the Mediterranean. With North Africa secured, the B-24 Liberator found new purpose over the Mediterranean. From bases across southern Italy, they became the spearhead of the strategic bombing campaign against the Third Reich, reaching areas previously thought untouchable. The establishment of the 15th Air Force in November 1943, with the Liberator as its primary heavy bomber across 15 groups, marked a new phase of intense operations. Young air crews flew deep into hostile territory, targeting the sinews of the German war machine, vital oil refineries like Ploiești, aircraft factories, crucial railway hubs, and industrial centers across Axis-controlled Europe, from Hungary and Germany to the Balkans. The relentless assault on German oil production proved particularly devastating, crippling fuel supplies and significantly impacting enemy operations, notably during the Battle of the Bulge. But victory came at a terrible cost. Stories like that of pilot Tom Faulkner, forced down in Switzerland after his B-24 was ravaged over Augsburg, or the loss of 10 376th Group Liberators in a single raid over Vicenza, Italy, highlight the constant danger and sacrifice. Beyond strategic targets, the Liberators played a vital role in supporting Allied landings. During Operation Dragoon in southern France, they pounded coastal defenses and transportation networks, paving the way for invasion forces. They delivered crucial air support again during the final push through Italy in April 1945, helping Allied armies break through German lines. The clearer Mediterranean weather often allowed the 15th Air Force to fly when the 8th Air Force in England was grounded, maintaining relentless pressure on Germany and forcing the enemy to stretch its defenses thin. By mid-1944, Liberators even undertook daring shuttle missions, bombing targets before landing behind Soviet lines. These Mediterranean operations were more than just bombing runs. They were a testament to the B-24's reach, resilience, and the unwavering spirit of the crews who flew them into the heart of the inferno. The China-Burma-India theater, a forgotten front. There exists a corner of World War II often lost in the shadows of grander historical narratives. The China-Burma-India theater, a vast, treacherous land where dense jungle, towering mountains, and a brutal enemy combine to form a seemingly insurmountable challenge. It was here, on this often forgotten front, that the B-24 Liberator would prove its worth in ways few could have anticipated, far transcending its conventional role as a bomber. When the Burma Road fell in May 1942, vast China stood isolated, its lifeline of aid severed. The only remaining route snaked over the roof of the world. The formidable Himalayas, a perilous air route pilots grimly called the Hump. Into this desperate breach stepped the B-24 Liberator, its remarkable range and capacity finding an unlikely, vital purpose. More than just a bomber, it became the workhorse of the Hump, its rugged design battling conditions that crippled lesser planes, its cavernous bays hauling not bombs, but fuel and supplies, the very means for China to keep fighting. Try to imagine the perspective of those young air crews. Lifting off from scorching Indian airfields, they clawed their heavily laden aircraft upwards, patiently climbing towards the 18,000 feet needed to clear the colossal stone walls. They wrestled ferocious downdrafts capable of flipping a giant aircraft like a toy, and faced the fury of Himalayan weather, blinding blizzards, violent monsoons, suffocating dust storms. A seemingly simple flight could morph into an exhausting 10-hour struggle against death itself. Yet, they achieved the extraordinary. The 7th Bombardment Group transformed their bombers into flying gas stations, hauling precious fuel to General Chennault's forces in China, enabling strikes deep into enemy territory. As Chennault gratefully acknowledged, they attacked where it would have been impossible otherwise. This lifeline, however, was paid for in blood. Hundreds of aircraft and over 1,000 airmen vanished into the unforgiving mountains and jungles, a stark reminder of the mission's brutal cost. Without their courageous sacrifice, China's ability to resist might well have collapsed. But these China-Burma-India liberators were never just transports. They remained fierce warriors. The 7th Bomb Group relentlessly pounded Japanese supply lines across Burma and Thailand, establishing the longest continuous combat record of any heavy bomber unit in the war. They maintained a tight blockade and undertook grueling long-range strikes, like the punishing multi-hour missions deep into occupied territory like Bangkok. Its capabilities proved essential for striking elusive targets hidden within the vast, impenetrable jungles. For over 3 years, through immense hardship, the Liberators flew countless missions, delivering crucial aid and striking telling blows. In this forgotten theater, the B-24 proved its extraordinary endurance and adaptability, becoming a symbol of the quiet courage and immense sacrifice demanded in one of the war's harshest corners. The call from the deep ocean. The Liberator hunts the U-boats. As the Battle of the Atlantic against the U-boats raged ever fiercer, and as Allied defenses grew denser and more effective, Admiral Donitz's gray wolves of the sea began seeking new, less perilous hunting grounds. They shifted southward, venturing into the warm, vast waters of the Indian Ocean. A new front, lesser known perhaps, but no less critical, had opened. The U-boat menace was now truly global, targeting vital Allied supply lines across all the world's oceans. From the Indian Ocean to the distant Cape of Good Hope, even probing as far as the coasts of Australia and Brazil, the U-boats carved out a dangerous southern gap, mirroring the notorious mid-Atlantic air gap, where convoys became fragile and terribly vulnerable. Who would bridge this deadly void? Once again, the answer was the B-24 Liberator, Britain's Royal Air Force Coastal Command, and later the United States Navy, deployed specially modified Liberators to these far-flung waters, and they proved uniquely suited for the task. They became a true terror to the U-boats. Throughout the war, Liberators, sometimes flying solo, sometimes coordinating with surface warships, contributed to the sinking of 93 German submarines. The secret to the Liberator's success lay in its increasingly sophisticated electronic eyes and ears. Initially equipped with ASV Mk2 radar, they were later upgraded with the more advanced H2S radar system, capable of sweeping the ocean surface, detecting the smallest metallic signatures moving stealthily below. And when darkness fell, Radar combined with the Lee light, an immensely powerful searchlight, blazing like the sun with 22 million candle power, became a lethal partnership. Before the advent of the Lee light, there had been a stretch of over 5 months without a single U-boat kill at night. But now, the darkness offered no sanctuary. This combination proved so effective that U-boat crews often preferred to risk surfacing during daylight, where they at least had a chance to see and potentially fight back against their aerial attackers. The constant presence of patrolling Liberators forced U-boats to dive deeper and travel slower. This meant they struggled to intercept convoys. Their operational reach shrank significantly, and their combat effectiveness drastically diminished. The gray wolves that once sowed terror across the oceans now had to hide, fearing the shadow and the roar of the Liberators descending from the sky, the war in the deep, dark ocean, thanks in large part to the B-24 Liberator, was steadily turning in the Allies' favor. Voices from the cockpit, when Steele cried and laughed. Be behind every B-24 Liberator roaring through the wartime skies pulsed 10 human hearts, beating in unison with hope, trembling with fear, and cherishing dreams of returning home. Weathered old letters, emotionally charged diary entries, memories recounted years later. These are precious legacies, revealing extraordinary tales of quiet courage and profound sacrifice. Listen to Tom Faulkner, a young man, barely 19, who had already completed 28 harrowing bombing missions over Europe. His final sortie ended abruptly over Augsburg, Germany, when his battered Liberator was forced to seek sanctuary in neutral Switzerland. A perilous journey across 5 nations concluded not with a hero's welcome, but with internment in a foreign land. Or hear the heart-wrenching pain in a letter Lieutenant Raymond J. Lawrence sent to his sweetheart from a base in Italy. He described the horrifying sight of witnessing a fellow B-24 from his squadron disintegrate in mid-air after a direct flak hit. It drained the heart and soul right out of me. They never stood a chance. God, how I miss them now, and the tears just flowed. It was the silent cry of a young soldier grappling with overwhelming loss. And then there were the deep psychological scars. Murray Price, who flew 40 missions across the vast Pacific, could never forget the image of an aircraft carrying 10 close friends plummeting into the sea and exploding. 10 men, gone in an instant, he recalled chokingly. Yet, amidst the hardship, comradeship became their strongest shield. 10 men from 10 states stuck together, and a genuine bond developed, one veteran recalled. This deep connection helped them endure missions where death seemed certain. The intense mental strain of long missions, constant vigilance, and witnessing destruction took its toll, leading to anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, and burnout. But crews found solace in camaraderie, rest, recreation, and sometimes the shared ritual of a drink after a harrowing flight. Flight surgeons listened, offering not just medical aid but understanding. Ultimately, the bond between crewmates was the best defense against the overwhelming stress of their lonely war. The legacy of forgotten flights, echoes of the Liberator. Quieter contributions, like the B-24 Liberators, are sometimes overlooked in history. Its missions and sacrifices were felt worldwide, from Northern Ireland to Burma, China to Okinawa, but few are remembered. Why is telling these stories important? Silence sometimes hides the truth. The brave B-24 Hot Stuff accomplished 25 dangerous sorties over Nazi-occupied Europe by February 1943, 3.5 months before its B-17 twin, the Memphis Belle, and the disaster in Iceland ended Hot Stuff's journey, killing practically everyone. History suddenly altered, obscuring Hot Stuff. As America's most produced military aircraft, the Liberator's legacy is undisputed. Today, those echoes are returning, worldwide. Committed hands are preserving the memory. Volunteers in Australia work to restore a living bomber, a B-24 that can roar and taxi down the runway, as a monument to the 287 Liberators who served with the Royal Australian Air Force and the over 200 aircrew who never returned. The Warsaw Uprising Museum houses a full-scale copy of Captain Zbigniew Szostak's Liberator, a mute historical witness. It silently commemorates 112 Polish airmen and hundreds of British, South African, and American pilots who died in 6 1944 airdrops over Warsaw. Every mission and name is painstakingly preserved in digital archives like the 392nd Bomb Group Memorial Associations. The unit's combat airmen suffered greatly. 21% never returned home, and 11% were imprisoned in prisoner of war camps. Restoration projects, memorials, and preserved records are more than equipment conservation. It aims to preserve the memories, sacrifices, and legacy of the B-24 Liberator and its brave aircrew as a poignant reminder of bravery, endurance, and the price of freedom. From its bold designs to the fiery skies of World War II, the journey of the B-24 Liberator is an epic tale of engineering, courage, and silent sacrifice. It was the Liberator in name, but also the industrious workhorse, the deep-sea predator, and the reluctant carrier across the roof of the world. Though often overshadowed by the B-17, history cannot deny the enormous role and immeasurable contributions of the tens of thousands of Liberators and the brave crews who flew them. Each mission was a story, each loss was a heartache, and each success was a step toward victory. Today, when the remaining Liberators are counted on the fingers of one hand, remembering them, telling their stories, is not just a matter of honoring the past. It is also a way for us to better understand the price of peace, the strength of the human spirit in the face of adversity, and to ensure that the forgotten flights are forever remembered. Thank you for joining us in exploring the emotional story of the B-24 Liberator. If you find this video meaningful, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to continue following other interesting historical journeys. Do you have a B-24 story to share? Or have a relative who served on these planes? Leave a comment below. We would love to hear and connect with you. Once again, thank you and see you in the next videos.